I wish I never opened my father's box. When my father died, he left me his box. A part of me wishes he hadn't, but the truth is, I knew one day it would be mine. He always said it would be like some terrible inheritance, like a burden he'd pass down, one way or another. Even in death, he was right. Dad wasn't the kind of man you write fond eulogies about. He wasn't the kind you remembered with fond nostalgia or a soft chuckle at family gatherings. He was the kind you whispered about behind closed doors and prayed, with everything you had, that he'd change before it was too late. He had a way of looming over everything, controlling everything, our house, our lives, my childhood. And when he wasn't looming or controlling, he was watching. Everything. Always. It's your inheritance, he'd say, fingers brushing the dark wooden box like it was alive. Someday you'll understand why. But I never understood. Not as a kid, not as an adult. Not until the box was handed to me, cold and heavy, at the funeral home. "Leave it," my husband, Rob, said when I brought it into the house. His voice was soft, like he was worried it would break something if he spoke too loudly. "I can't," I said. "I wish I could, but it's mine." It sat on the dining room table for days. Ellie, our 6-year-old, asked about it constantly, her curious eyes shining like it was some kind of treasure chest. "Is it a treasure?" she asked, tilting her head. "No," I said too quickly, a little too sharply. "It's just something Grandpa wanted me to have." Ellie didn't push, but I could feel her gaze lingering on the box. It wasn't the way she stared at it, curious, innocent, but something in the way her eyes lingered, like she could hear its whispers too. I didn't tell her, but I could feel it, the way the box seemed to look back at her, as if it knew she was there. We never talked about it directly. But when the sun dipped low and the house settled into its usual, suffocating silence, I could hear it again, the soft, almost imperceptible murmurs coming from the box, tugging at the edges of my mind. Like an itch under your skin you just can't scratch. I hadn't touched it in months at this point. I hadn't dared, but every night, the whispers got louder, until it was all I could hear. My nerves frayed like the edges of old fabric, snapping with tension. Ellie hadn't noticed, or maybe she didn't care to, but it was all I could think